That, there we go. And Nkanyeziyethu Malunga from Zimbabwe. Guiding this conversation is...
Salibonani. So if you are there, if you'd like to be part of it, please just move forward and take a seat. I see Panashe, he came all the way from, I think, Uzumba or something. And he's here, so we're so happy to have you guys. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? It's so exciting to have you guys here, and I'm so excited to be having this conversation with these guys, but most importantly with you. So it'll be great for you to also just, note down some stuff. If you have questions to ask, note those questions down. We're going to have a conversation. It's going to be very fruitful because these three here are incredible human beings that are doing work in the UK, in Europe, in Asia, in India, and in Africa, Zimbabwe. And so that's a balanced conversation we're going to have. So allow me to introduce myself. My name is Gilmore Khumalo, known as Gilmore T, the global citizen. Please give me a round of applause. Right, so welcome to a conversation that is as old as the earth beneath our feet, yet as forward-thinking as the runways in Milan, in Harare, in Nairobi, in London, in Cape Town. So today we're going to be talking about clothes, not just clothes, but we're also going to be talking about provenance. We're looking at the connection between the livestock that grazes our plains and our fields and the luxury that defines our global markets. So joining me are these three incredible human beings. We've got Nkanyeziyethu Malunga from the City of Kings and Queens, the Queen herself from Bulawayo. We've got Rahul from India, and we've got Sevra, who's all the way from the UK. So what I'll do with these three, I will not introduce them as talk about what they do. I'll allow themselves to, just shine and brag about the incredible work that they do for 60 seconds. So it's almost like a 60 seconds elevator pitch, starting with Pinky Pinky Ponky. Sevra.
Thank you, Gilmore. Everyone hear me okay? Yeah, great. Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. I'm Sevra Davis. I work at the British Council in London. I am the Director of Architecture, Design and Fashion. So my work there is all about connecting the UK design sector across those three fields, and also including craft, with those around the world. And I'm really pleased to be here and connect with my colleagues in Zimbabwe. We've been working together on the Creative DNA program for many years, and excited that so many of you from the CDNA program are here with us. My background is in architecture, and everything I know about fashion comes from doing the work that I do and working with the design community. So I don't have a fashion background. I'm sort of up here, but will be talking about things that I've learned through working with designers both in the UK and around the world. And I think I'll stop there.
Right. My question that I would like for you to respond to is, why are you here?
I'm here, first and foremost, it's been amazing to be here so far for 4 days or so in Zimbabwe and learning so much from colleagues from Zimbabwe, from the rest of the African continent, from India, from Pakistan. We have lots of amazing speakers. And just sort of building that connection is what my work is about and what I'm here to do. I think specifically on this stage today, I hope that I can add some perspectives about what's happening in the UK, in the EU at the moment, but also be part of an emerging conversation around the future of fashion and textiles globally.
Thank you very much. So learning, connection, and also just bringing perspective, a global perspective. I love that. Let me see who should go next. Nkanyeziyethu, I can see you're about to drink that water. But Nkanyeziyethu, you're going to go next. 60 seconds and why you're here.
Gilmore, you just don't want to see me shine, aren't you? Good morning, everybody. My name is Nkanyeziyethu Malunga, and I am a fashion and textile designer. I am self-taught. I can't say I never got a chance to go to school for it, but I would like to believe that I'm at a point where I can boldly say I'm a creative alchemist. And I get to use indigenous knowledge systems in fashion and textile production for economic empowerment of where in my next life, I'm a storyteller, fashion, textile, and anything creative that goes along with storytelling. Thank you so much.
Right. So why are you here, Miss Next Life Storyteller?
I'm hoping to learn. I never want to get to a point where I feel I know too much or I know enough. So I'm here with a very blank page, mental blank page. I'm here to learn from everybody. I'm hoping that I could also impart some lessons, not just from my present phase in life, but also to share the lessons that I've learned from my grandmother and everybody else that has shaped the person that I am today.
Incredible. Thank you so much. Please give a round of applause. I like the idea of building the gap because I think in most cases we always feel like the elders, young people will like, hey, the elders have nothing much to give to us. But I think what's the most incredible thing that Nkanyeziyethu does, and by the way, we used to be in the same high school. So when I saw that she was coming, I was like, oh, look at us now. So one thing that I really admire with the work that she does, this is from her project with the women in Matopo, the rural women in Matopo, where you go into the villages, we're going back to our elders, we're asking questions, we gather that information, and then we interpret it contemporarily using fashion as a storyteller in fashion. So I love that, and I think the aspect of learning keeps coming. Sevra spoke about it, being in a canvas, because we're constantly learning, and the moment you stop learning, then there must be a problem. Because one thing for sure, I was talking to my grandfather, and he said, do you know, I thought I knew your grandmother, but I didn't know that this girl liked eating berries. And I'm like, but you guys have been married for 100 years. You are dinosaurs. And then, so I realized that you are always learning. So the moment you stop learning, something is wrong with you. Over to you, Rahul. 60 seconds and why you're here.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Rahul Noble Singh. My father was Indian, my mother's Scottish. I've spent a lot of my life back and forth between India and the UK. I've spent the last nearly 20 years working with craft groups and textiles and value chains and supply chains with natural fibers. And I'm not a designer myself in any way. I'm a boring accountant. But I've been inspired and worked with crafts and textiles for many years, and particularly on the supply chain side, on the organizational side, on creating networks and platforms to help artisans and farmers and artisans develop their products and reach markets. I work with an organization that works with handloom weaving and hand embroidery in Rajasthan. I also work with an organization that works with pastoralist communities, working with trying to promote wool, both for textiles but also industrial applications. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Why are you here? Besides the incredible weather in Zimbabwe and the beautiful people of Zimbabwe, of course, and the fact that we have something in common, cricket, all of us here. England, India, and Zimbabwe. If there's anyone from South Africa, shame, South Africa is out of cricket. But anyway, why are you here?
Well, I'm here because I was very kindly asked to be here in the first instance. But I jumped at the chance. I actually was here 30 years ago and was based in South Africa, but spent a little bit of time in Zimbabwe. And actually some of the work and the learnings that I took from that time has shaped my, my career and my thinking in many ways. So it's very exciting for me to be here, to continue to learn from everyone and to share the bit that I know about the kind of Indian context and crafts and textiles with everyone here. So
thank you. Please give him a round of applause. I like the community engagement that you brought about, the artisans and the farmers. I have a question on, India has a legendary fiber heritage, and as these textiles enter the global luxury market, how do you ensure that the actual benefits reach the farmers that you're working with and artisans on ground?
Yes, it's true. I mean, India is very rich in natural fibers, in crafts, in very high-skilled artisans, and increasingly these handcrafted products and these natural fibers are starting to reach global markets. But as you say, Gilmore, there's one thing that the value increases, the price increases, but it's not always the case that increase in price, trickles down to the farmers and the producers and the artisans themselves. And I think one of the crucial thing is that, as we were talking over the last couple of days or so, is how, luxury is maybe changing in some ways. It's less about price and a brand and a logo, but it's also increasingly about, provenance and where something is from, and the landscape and the people that are, responsible for creating these products. And I think as that happens, and therefore as the producers, the farmers, the artisans are more important drivers in creating value, there is a hope then that that value also kind of is spread across the, down the supply chain, as it were. But it's not really enough that the price increases, and a lot of the work that I've worked on is also looking at the kind of the institutions and the ownership and the power and where the money is in those systems, so that the farmers, the producers, the artisans need to be more, not just as seeing their products as a kind of commodity, but that there's a, differentiating that commodity. So it's not just, wool, or it's not just, goat hair, or it's not just a certain product, but how do you differentiate it? And I think once you start to be able to differentiate it, you can capture more value. And that is, one of the work that we've done recently, which we're very thankful to the British Council for, is that they've supported us with working on traceability. And we're looking at both kind of storytelling and qualitative and quantitative data and narratives in the supply chain. So some of it is about the wool, its fiber count, its micron count, so very specifics about the material, but it's also about the storytelling behind it, about who are the shepherds who are involved in producing the wool, what's the type of breeds, where do they graze, what are the properties of wool. And by doing that, I think it also elevates it differentiates and therefore removes people from this sort of commodity trap where a lot of natural fibers and crafts are kind of stuck in this space that it's treated as a commodity. So yeah, I think so one is about trying to escape from this idea of these raw materials as a commodity.
Right.
And then the other thing that I think is important, again, I'm talking about an Indian context, but I think it's relevant in many other places and in Zimbabwe also, that there's an importance of aggregating. If you're an individual farmer or you're an individual artisan or an individual producer and you're trying to engage with markets, you're very weak. You're not in a very strong place to be able to negotiate, to bargain, to influence anything. So some of the work we've done with the Center for Pastoralism, working with shepherds, is that have 25 different organizations who are all independent, different designers, different craft groups, some very small, some very large. But we've built a platform where they work together or come together on certain aspects for market linkage or trying to influence government policy, shifting public awareness. And I think that kind of aggregation and bringing people who have kind of common interests and common stakeholders has been very important in us being able to try to start to shift that value going back down to farmers and producers. And then finally, the other bit that I think is important is it's where where the money is, where the power is. You can, again, as I was saying, you can increase value, you can talk about, tell stories about where something is from, who made it. But if there's not a kind of shift in power and a shift in ownership, they just become stories, which is a way of selling a product as a brand, and it's still, the value is not going down to the producers. So one organization that I've been involved with for the last 15 years, it's called Rang Sutra, and it's a for-profit public limited company. And we work with 2,500 artisans, but they're all shareholders in the company.
Right.
So that, and we still have, when we negotiate, we supply to big retailers, organizations like IKEA, which is a global brand, retailers in India, and we still have, tensions and conflict over price, how much to charge, how much does each artisan get in terms of job work. But because they're also owners in the company, we can be quite, we can have that negotiation and we can have that discussion on price, and be driven by profit, but that profit then is also shared by the artisans themselves. The artisans also vote and decide on the, who runs the company. And therefore, the decision making, what we decide to do, what we don't decide to do, is in the hands of, that control and power. They're not just getting paid for each piece that they make, they're also in control in how we operate and what we do and our strategy. So I think those, three things, one about understanding where things are from, the provenance of them. The other is about aggregation and bringing different groups together to be much stronger with scale. And the third is looking at different systems of ownership and power and how to build institutions that change that power structure.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that, because I think, when you engage the community in all the different stages, like you're saying, there's a lot of ownership, because I think when we're talking about sustainable development, we also have to touch on ownership, and that's incredible. I saw Nkanyeziyethu noting down some stuff. I'm jumping straight to you, because you do a lot of work with communities in Matobo, where you go and you work with natural dyes, the Angora gods. I would like to hear how you also make sure that the community really benefits, because in most cases, there's exploitation that happens. We come in and say, we want to help, we want to do, and we want to assist the community, but at the end of the day, they never get a single cent from that. So I would love to hear how you're doing it with the project in Matobo, using natural dyes.
Good morning, once again. The first thing that we need to realize is that rural economies are what are influencing the metropolitan economics, how money circulates in the metropolitan cities. You go to Rengini, Umbegoshasha, any product that you find there comes from outside. By outside, I'm referring to the rural areas.
Right.
So we should not look at the women or the producers or the artisans from the rural areas like people that need some saving from us. They're certainly way ahead of where we are right now. And if anything, I believe it's safe to say we are the ones that need to be from the rural areas where we are with the current state of affairs.
Right.
Globally. It doesn't just apply to Bulawayo, it doesn't just apply to Zimbabwe, but the current state of affairs for us, whether it's a cultural exchange or a cultural trade, an economic trade, a physical trade, geographic trade, we've got a lot to gain. Anyone from the metropolitan cities has got a lot to gain from the rural areas. Now, back to what you asked me.
I was waiting for that.
Yes. The element of fair trade is being influenced by the artisans in the rural than ever. If ever there is a time where people understand their value and their contribution, it's now. The rural and what they have to offer
Right.
more than what we are offering them.
Right.
So they hold the cards when it comes to negotiating.
Okay.
So they are more empowered than us. So the right question that I would pose to us is that what are we bringing to the table for them? They know their value, they know their worth, we know what they're bringing to the table, but what are we bringing to the table?
Right.
That's the question we should be asking ourselves. So much has been very little acknowledgement, but we are at a point where we are almost blank. We can't afford to be clear what's there on the table.
Right.
Their value, whether it's a cultural contribution to the are we bringing to the table?
Yeah.
And yeah, I
I
hope
like
I
that.
answered.
Please give a round of applause. Give the panel a round of applause. I think they've got some nuggets that they're sharing. I like that aspect because in most cases when we're going into communities, we're always saying, oh, I have to come down their level. Someone said that to me. I was like, are you mad? You know, whose level are you coming down on? This person knows how to exist in their space, whether it's in a rural area and it's not your fabulous house in Harare, in Delhi, or in London, but they know how to exist. So what do you mean by you're coming down their level? You are the one who has to go up their level because they know how to exist. They've got the wisdom that you're looking for. If you get in there, if they refuse to give you food, you're going to starve. Because you don't even know what to do. So I think just that respect and the ethical observations are very important. Yes, ma'am.
I guess another addition is I was going to ask if I every now and then I ask myself if we are helping other people, other communities to tell their story. You know how it goes. But upon reflection, the best storytellers are Ofinganewane.
Yeah.
I learned how to storytell from my